You're relying too much on ChatGPT. There's better AI solutions out there, and you need to be comfortable with all the different AI solutions in order to stay versed in this constantly fast moving world. I have too many friends that tell me, I'm like, what AI are you currently using? They're only on ChatGPT. If you're not leveraging some of these other AIs, you're absolutely shooting yourself in the foot. You're making life harder. My name is James. I'm with Costa Mesa Tech Solutions. Let's talk beyond ChatGPT and talk about some other free AI language models. So the biggest thing is having choice. They used to only have ChatGPT, and now we have a bunch of other really good models that are constantly changing of what is the best as they each iterate and each release new models. And the goal is to understand that not one model does everything right, but it's to understand that you need to experiment using different models to try your tasks and know which models excel at which types of activities. So let's talk about your options. So we have Cloud AI, we have DeepSeek, we have Gemini, Grok, Notebook LM, and QuenChat. There's obviously a bunch more, but those are the ones I'm using on a daily basis that aren't ChatGPT, that are free. So let's first talk about Cloud AI. I love this for coding. I think this is absolutely the best LLM currently for coding. It does absolutely great code. It's able to do very long context windows, and out of all the complex coding, it's definitely been the most advanced and given me the least amount of errors. The ability to one shot, I give it a prompt of what I want it to do, and then it finishes, gives me working code. Let's talk about DeepSeek. That was one of the first chain of thought models where essentially the model is able to think for itself. A lot of the models implement these practices now. Sometimes they show you them thinking, sometimes they don't. But I always like checking DeepSeek now, even though a lot of the other AIs have caught it with their chain of thought reasoning models. I always recommend checking it out, chat.deepseek.com. And I always recommend just trying your prompts with different AIs, because with the different free AIs, you can get all these different outputs and then you can compare them and see what you prefer personally. And obviously the results can vary month to month, day by day, or depending on how much load the site has, if it's giving you the full context and the powers of the models. So then Gemini, I've been using Gemini a lot. It's gotten really, really good recently. Gemini.google.com. It can do brainstorming, coding, writing, and it's obviously always keeps getting updated. So I do like Gemini. That's probably been my go-to, if not Cloud AI. Then you have Grok, which is made by XAI, and that's basically awesome because it can go on Twitter, or X currently as it is, at any time and pull live news, live analysis, and then instantly break it down for you. And it has a really good reasoning model where it can do a lot, but you will quickly run into limits with the free version of it. The one thing that's important to know is you will run out of your limits for each of these models, and you have to know it's important to be able to just switch over between different models so you're always able to use a free model. And you have Notebook LM, which is also made by Google, and it's really cool because you can upload all of your documents to the model and then it will become an expert on them. It can even create an AI podcast based on the information that you input to there, and then you can query it. So it's a really cool way to build your own database and work off of that. Then we have QuenChat, which is another one I like using because it doesn't seem to have as many limits. You can run it for hours and hours. So if you run out of your Gemini limits and they're asking you to spend the extra money on the pro version, jump over to Quen. Sometimes Quen can even be fantastic regardless. It has video and image generation capabilities, which is great, and a lot of other different ways to access your media. So I definitely recommend playing around with it, but sometimes I was having to code multiple times and having to input my errors in order to fix them, where it had more errors than something like Gemini or Cloud would in its coding. But the biggest part of it is understanding how prompts work. You have to practice with different prompts and understand how they work. If your prompt has a bunch of garbage into it, you're going to waste precious tokens that could be answering your question, where it's dealing with unnecessary things to address. It's always important to be able to take your prompts and all the important information and put them into different AIs and try out the different prompts and see what their different outputs are. So you are using all the different AIs. You need to make sure you're not just limited and tied to one AI. It's important to understand what kind of data and the best way to feed their LLM's data. Sometimes if you paste in the data versus uploading a text file, it takes up a lot more of the context, where if you were to just upload the text file, it can scan the text within that file and give you longer outputs and not have to necessarily count the output against that input that you're putting in of the long file. And it's just very important to know that if you're on a very long text, the AI can get overloaded. Even if it's convincing you that everything's fine, it's important to know when to take the important data out of your last chat, starting with a completely brand new chat, and then starting again and querying the AI without overloading your context.
That's what we put here. Always important to start fresh. It can start generating hallucinations and have its own perspective that it's been forced into, and it's important to know when you can start over completely fresh and take away all the biases and start it as just a fresh conversation. And it's also important with scripts to be able to take your old script, paste it into a large language model, and then start completely fresh. So if you have a really, really long script and you're running into context issues, then sometimes that's the only way that you can really work with those. The best AI in the end of the day is going to come down to which AI works best for your specific task. And if you're not well versed in all the different AIs out there, then the only way to truly know is by trying all the different AIs. And you will learn more skills as you practice with the different AIs, and it will level up the kind of work and the kind of content that you are able to produce. Thank you guys for watching this presentation. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments.